Consecrated Sphinx will trigger. We get some snakes.
Today on Commander Replay, can our well-tuned Xyris deck survive our opponent's Lich combo? Find out next on Commander Replay. Hey guys, next time you purchase cards, if you want to support me and my LGS, be sure to check out mothershipatx.com and use the promo code REPLAY to save 15% on your next order. And if you can't find what you're looking for, you can use the TCG affiliate player link. All links are in the description below.
Welcome back, everyone. We are playing some Xyris the Writhing Storm today. Today's deck list comes to us from Patreon supporter Kithron, who is in the game with us today. And thankfully, not playing his Kithron deck, he is playing his Averna deck, one that I'll be taking a look at some point in the future. So we'll get a little sneak peek on that. Anyway, taking a look at our opening hand, that's going to be a one-lander, so that's going to be an easy mulligan right here. This seems fine. No green mana yet, but Mystic Remora can hopefully get us there. Hopefully we don't get punished on turn order. So many times when I have Mystic Remora in the opener, I'm last in the turn order, and then we miss a lot of draw. And don't love doing that, but hopefully we won't get punished today. So we'll keep this one. Brings it to our turn one. We draw into a Cyclonic Rift. That'll be helpful later in the game, but right now let's get the island in, and we'll play the Mystic Remora. Dreadhorde Invasion for opponent. We get to draw a card. Excellent. It's a Swan Song. Really just kind of looking for a green for the Harrow. Brings back to our turn. We have a cumulative upkeep to deal with. Yeah, we're going to pay for it. There's a mountain. Let's get the Reliquary Tower in, actually. And then I guess we just pass like that. Keep trying to ride this Mystic Remora at least until we hit a forest or something. Dreadhorde Invasion trigger for opponent. They lose a life and get to amass 1. Ooh, Luxon on Warhammer for opponent. We'll get to draw again. There's an island. Still haven't found the green that we're looking for. Dark Ritual for opponent into the Mystic Remora. Come on, forest. It's a reality shift. Still locked on green mana. And there's a Bitter Blossom. Get to draw once again. Into a negate. A lot of counter spells. Opponent cracks their Corpseborn, gets themselves some lands, and with that, that'll bring it back to our turn. I'm going to stay with the Mystic Remora right here. We haven't found that green mana, and I really don't want to be locked on colors. There's a Strip Mine. Let's play a mountain. Actually, let's play an island. We do have a Swan Song in hand, so we'll keep that up. And with that, we'll keep passing. We have no max hand size, thanks to the Reliquary Tower. So yeah, we can just keep drawing for a while. Hopefully we'll hit that forest. Ooh, a Shardless Agent for opponent. They're going to get the Cascade one time. They hit a Regrowth, but no legal targets for Regrowth. Sad face for them. But let's take a look at what everyone's playing. So we started talking about it a little bit. Kithron piloting Averna the Chaos Bloom. It's Temur for a 4/2. As you cascade, you may put a land card from among the exiled cards onto the battlefield tapped. In this case, it looks like they hit the Regrowth and Leyline of Anticipation coming in for opponent. That's a pretty good one. Mystic Remora. Arachnogenesis, still no green mana though. Anyway, yeah, from what I've heard, I haven't seen it yet, but I've heard that Averna can be very strong. Cascade is generally a pretty good mechanic, and if you're getting lands out of the deal, ramping while you're doing it, that all seems like really good stuff. Bitter Blossom trigger for opponent. Llanowar Elves for opponent. Sure. Continuing on our opponents, next up we have Zombie Caller 42 piloting Grim-grin Corpseborn. Assumingly going to be some sort of zombie deck and look to destroy things with Grim-grin. There's a Sterling Grove coming in for opponent. Those are pretty good. We get to draw one more time. Come on, forest. There it is. Finally found the forest. So we'll let the Mystic Remora go this turn and get busy with the Harrow. But yeah, Mystic Remora drawn us a lot of cards. Really strong card. Really good if people play into it early in the game like this. Yeah, we're going to let it go this time. But finishing up on Grim-grin, Grim-grin usually going to be a zombie tribal deck, and it is nice to have repeatable removal in the command zone, though it does always seem to come out just a little bit slow. It always seems to be like just a little slower than you want it to be. I haven't been wrecked by a Grim-grin deck. I'm thinking about all the games I've ever played against Grim-grin over the years, and I've been wrecked by it maybe 2 or 3 times that I can remember, and then at least 10 times I can think of where they just couldn't get things going the right way. So maybe not the fastest or most threatening thing at the table, but still a cool commander nonetheless. We'll see what they've got for us today. That does bring it to our turn. We draw an island. We have so many cards in hand. We're up to 13 cards in hand. Let's go ahead, play this forest like we talked about. Then let's play the Harrow. We'll sacrifice an island. How much red's in this deck? There's a little bit. There's not a ton. I think double blue, double green is going to be more important. So what do we get? We get 2 lands. Yeah, we'll get an island and a forest. Those come in untapped. I don't use Harrow much, and I always forget how good it actually is. Kind of ridiculous. Down to 11 cards in hand. It is mostly interaction, so I think we're just going to pass. Here comes Averna into play. We could counterspell that, but we'll see what happens. we'll let them have their commander, even though, you know, if you want to go full spiky with it, letting someone not have their commander is usually the correct call, but I'm curious to see what this Averna deck looks like, so, you know, we'll give it a moment. We are soft to a wheel. A wheel would be bad for us. We would lose a lot of cards, and that would not be great. Our final opponent, by the way, is Sherry, piloting Kydele, Chosen of Kruphix, and Tymna the Weaver. Should be interesting. Xyris could potentially be helpful for Kydele, but if they're playing wheels, which they very well might be, that might be bad for them if we have Xyris in play, so I don't know. Should be interesting. My guess right now is that they're on some sort of Enchantress build, just because of Sterling Grove. We've seen a Bitter Blossom so far, so tough to know exactly what they're doing until we see a little bit more, but Enchantress would be my guess. And I would say that, like, other than the Cyclonic Rift, we are probably a bit soft to Enchantress. We've got Beast Within, we've got Barrier Breach, we've got Pier's Whim, we've got a couple things, so not as bad as it could be. But once the Shroud comes down, you generally need to find mass enchantment removal, things that don't target, so that can always be a challenge. But we do have the Cyclonic Rift, and that does solve a lot of problems, so I think when it comes back to our turn, it's going to be cast Xyris and just hold up a Swan Song to keep it protected. Tymna the Weaver coming into play. Yep. Ooh, you know what Zombie can do? He can instant speed his Grim-grin into play and then be able to untap with it and do all that stuff and basically shoot our commander. More or less at instant speed. It's not the best, honestly. Opponent's going to focus with a 1-1, sure. So that being the case, maybe we don't cast our commander, but ideally, I'd like something to do on our turn, because it's just like all interaction in our hand right now. Bond of Mortality gives us something to do. Let's play a mountain. Let's play the Bond of Mortality. So when it enters the battlefield, we'll get to draw a card, and we can make our opponent's creatures lose hexproof and indestructible until end of turn if we pay a green. We draw another land. Kind of want a Walking Atlas, get these lands into play. I guess you have the green version of Walking Atlas, though. There's a 1-mana one. I think it's Sky Shroud Ranger, if I'm remembering the name right. I think we're just going to pass like that and use some interaction right here. So what I'm thinking about right now is letting the Grim-grin come in, and potentially they might shoot the Averna or the Tymna, and that seems like it might be a good idea. So there's a Thassa Deep Dwelling. Maybe we should counter that one. We should counter that one. What do we have for counter spells? I think it's just going to be counter spell. Thassa Deep Dwelling, a little too good. Also really hard to remove, so spend a counter spell for that. Down it goes. And that's going to get us attacked. Yeah, rightfully so. I'm sure they didn't appreciate that. They're also going last in the turn order, which they did mention, and is not the most ideal. And they mulligan to 6. Ooh, that's a Moonlight Bargain at the end step for opponent. Okay. Suppose we could have negated that, but we get poked. Opponent discarded 2. Ooh. We can negate that, and we should negate that. So, opponent discarded a Consecrated Sphinx off of the Moonlight Bargain, but trying to reanimate that. Oh no, we're out of blue mana. Oh, that's bad. That is bad. All right, well, it's going to have to be Pongify then. Opponent's going to get some extra cards. Opponent's going to Vampire Tutor at the end step. Feel very sad not having blue mana open in this moment. Actually, this is mid-combat. Gets in some damage on Kithron. Bitter Blossom trigger. Consecrated Sphinx trigger. Board wipe wouldn't be the worst. This doesn't seem like a board wipe heavy deck, though. There's a Mizium Mortars in the deck that would clear out a few things, but yeah, not a lot in the way of board wipes. There's a Curse of Swine. Kydele coming into play, yep. You guys know me, I'm a board wipe heavy kind of guy. If I were building this deck, I'd have slightly less counter spells, more board wipe, and more creature removal. I tend to favor permanent removal more than counter spells. I like a few counter spells, but usually just enough to like stop the big play. Opponent coming our way, spreading it out a little bit, trying to get 2 cards off the Tymna. And that's probably just because I don't play blue that much, and I'm used to playing non-blue decks where you don't really have counterspells as an option. So, as good as counterspells are, they don't help you with things already on the battlefield. I'm going to set a stop on our turn on our upkeep and shoot this Consecrated Sphinx before they draw any more cards. Kind of faked us out right there. If I knew they were going Consecrated Sphinx, I would have just gone for Xyris. You want to know what, though? Xyris plus Consecrated Sphinx makes us a lot of snakes. Maybe we let it go for just a second. They're up to 11 cards already, which is, like, not the best, but there's a heuristic study. Oh boy. Play the island, play Xyris, and we've got 2 blue up. That can be Pongify and Swansong. Seems pretty good. Opponent's got a Soul's Attendant in play. That's going to be good for them because we're about to be getting some snakes. So this is risky, letting the Consecrated Sphinx stick for a little bit, but it will give us a lot of snakes. we'll see how the risk pays off. There's a lot of ways that this could backfire horribly, and just shooting the Consecrated Sphinx is the right call. But there's also a line of thought where this gets us really far ahead with having a lot of creatures on board. So opponent draws, it triggers the Consecrated Sphinx, triggers Xyris twice, going to trigger the Soul's Attendant twice. Dreadhorde Invasion trigger for opponent. Right now the problem is they have so many cards and just not that much mana. They'll have their 7th land this turn, and they haven't cast any mana rocks at all, so, they'll be choking on cards in hand. If they have a Reliquary Tower, then it's not nearly as bad, but if they have to discard down to a bunch of stuff, then obviously they're going to be losing a lot of gas. Now, still sculpting a perfect 7 is still a really good thing to do, but not nearly as powerful as just having all your cards in hand. There's a Burnished Heart, so maybe looking to get the ramp going a little bit. Fine with that. And just going to crack it immediately, yeah. So looking for the lands. I don't think they played a land per turn yet. Also triggers the Soul's Attendant. There's an Urborg. Grim Harvest. Zombies you control have Menace. Okay. The zombie army's a 5/5. It's not awful with Menace. Gonna swing it into Sherry. Okay. Opponent's gonna Enlighten Tutor. They've already Vampiric Tutored, and I don't think they drew the unless maybe was that last turn? Did they draw that last turn? I don't remember now. What'd they get? They got Delaying Shield. If damage would be dealt to you, put that many delay counters on Delaying Shield. At the beginning of your upkeep, remove all delay counters. You lose 1 life for each way unless you pay 1 and a white. That might be a negate. That might be a negate. Makes it really hard to do damage. Bitter Blossom trigger. Kithron kept all of his mana up, interestingly. Wonder what he's got. Consecrated Sphinx will trigger. We get some snakes. Now, this is a zombie deck, so, creatures in the graveyard, not a big deal. I'm sure they have plenty of ways to pull them out, so we're going to want to stop things before it gets too wild. Fairy over to Kithron. Sure. Tymna trigger. They draw a card, trigger Xyris, trigger Consecrated Sphinx. Curious to see if they go for the Delaying Shield right here. There's the Delaying Shield. I'm going to negate that. That seems like a real pain in the butt for what we're trying to do. Does leave Xyris a little bit exposed. Be unfortunate if it got shot. This deck is powerful, but it's also glassy. You need Xyris to be in play. So I'm definitely a little bit nervous right here. Hope to make it back to our turn with it. Words of Wisdom. The next time you would draw a card, gain 5 life instead. It's got Shroud. Interesting. Brings back to our turn. We're stopped on our upkeep. Time to Pongify the Consecrated Sphinx. Probably should have did it already, but, it did get us 7 snakes. At the cost of giving opponent a lot of cards, and, they'll be able to filter into their graveyard, whatever they want, basically. If there's a combo in their deck, that's probably a really bad time for us. But Consecrated Sphinx down. We draw a Rapid Hybridize. Nice. Got more creature protection. Let's play... No real crazy lands in play yet. There's an Urborg, I guess. Don't need the red. I guess we play the Strip Mine. Play the Rhystic Study. Try to use our mana in the smartest way possible. Probably should have held that because I'm about to go on the attack here. We're going to draw a couple cards. Forgot about that. Let's do some attacking. Xyris into Kithron, since he did mulligan. Send a couple snakes over to Zombie. And send... Sherry's got mostly low toughness creatures. Actually almost looks a lot like Bloodpod. A lot of 1 toughness stuff running around. So we'll send a couple snakes their way. Just chip them down a little bit. We'll leave 1 back to block. We'll probably get a few more just to have some defenders up. We've also got the Arachnogenesis, but we may have to counterspell some stuff also. Zombie gonna block 1. Yep. Opponent gonna block a couple also. So we'll eat a fairy of theirs. I'm fine with that. 3 damage to Kithron. So we both draw 3 cards. We get some more stuff. Ooh, that's a Time Spiral. It doesn't look like we have the mana for Time Spiral. We do have Barrier Breach. But Sterling Grove's in play, so those do have hexproof. So looks like we're just passing. We get a bunch more snakes out of the deal. Natural Reclamation. Destroy target artifact or enchantment. Do we have any counterspells left? We have a Swan Song, but I'm not going to use it right here. We get to draw with the Rhystic Study 1 time, though. It's an island. Ooh, opponent, it's a Reclamation Sage. Might I recommend the Sterling Grove? Actually, Leyline's also pretty good, too. We get to draw again. Excellent. Ooh, a Chaos Warp. Nice. No red mana up, though, so that'll be a next turn kind of thing. Soul's Attendant is going to trigger. I think opponent did get a land in there also, if I'm not mistaken. Sterling Grove goes down. Nice. So we're alive to Barrier Breach. We can shoot all of the things. Signet for opponent. Uh-oh. Rooftop Storm. That's bad. Does he have the combo yet? No. You know what? We have the Barrier Breach. Here comes Lightning Greaves. Yeah, we're going to respond to that with the Barrier Breach. Cast Barrier Breach. Rooftop Storm, Leyline, and Bitter Blossom, I guess. So annoyed this isn't a white card. Really feels like it should be a white card. When does green get exile? Lightning Greaves into play for opponent. Puts the boots on the zombie army. Sure. It's actually a big loss of mana for them right there. We got them pretty hard with the big tempo play because, like I said, they haven't really ramped that much. They did get the Burnish Heart last turn, but tapping out 6 for the Rooftop Storm was most of their turn, so losing that before getting any value out of it hurts a lot. They're going to attack us, yep. Shroud, Menace, Haste, Lifelink. We'll block with 2. Zombie had to go, so he has scooped the game. This is a shuffle wheel? Yeah, this is a shuffle wheel. I'm trying to decide on the time spiral. We've got a lot of cards in hand, so like we would go to a lesser number of cards in hand, but we need things other than removal. We're trying to get to our win condition at this point, I think, so unless we draw something big, might think about the time spiral. Nefarious Lich. Uh-oh. If damage will be dealt to you, exile that many cards from your graveyard. Instead, if you can't, lose the game. If you would gain life, draw that many cards instead. That seems like a combo with this. And then if it leaves the battlefield, you lose the game. Oh, well, that should be... Sadly, we just used the... Oh, we have a Chaos Warp. Okie dokie. Opponent doing some attacking. Can't block. So this says the next time you draw a card, you gain 5 life instead. This says if you would gain life, draw that many cards. They would gain... So they would draw 5 cards? That seems kind of ridiculous. Are we going to see this in action right here? So Tymna trigger on the stack. Xyris triggers. I was thinking this was probably part of a combo. Oh, there's the Words of Wisdom trigger. Okay, we're going to get to see it. So instead of drawing a card, they gain 5 life. And this says instead of gaining 5 life, they draw that many cards. So that triggers Xyris 5 more times. Soul's Attendant. Oh, Soul's Attendant's going to be kind of wacky. Oh, this does cost mana, though. That's good. Soul's Attendant and Xyris triggering a lot. Oh, I foresee a problem. Okay, turn off auto yields. We've reached an infinite loop, I think. Because every time our creature enters, they gain a life. But instead of gaining a life, they draw a card. So I think we need to rapid hybridize this Soul's Attendant. Though I suppose we could have let this go off a few more times. This is their Lich deck. I see. We see. Okay, so Soul's Attendant's gone. That breaks the loop. And now we have a whole bunch of creatures that we can attack with on our turn. We probably could have let that combo go on a little bit more just until we had enough snakes to kill everyone. Opponent said they had a Reliquary Tower, but we've got this Chaos Warp, and we're going to hit it on their Lich, so I don't know that it's going to matter that much. Brings it back to our turn. Oh, even better, there's a Deglammer. Deglammer the Lich. There's the Lose the Game trigger. They've got a Stifle, but we've got a Swan Song. Very cute, very cute. Down they go to the Lose the Game trigger. Gotta be careful with those. You know, they had it played, they had the Stifle, but yeah, we're a blue deck. We have counter spells too, so always be careful with that. Let's get this Homeward Path into play in case we do end up wheeling on this turn, which we might. Let's go to combat, just send everything. How much damage is that? That's 22, 25. We're just a little bit short. Opponent gonna do some blocks. We hit Xyris trigger, they're down to 8. We get 3 more snakes. There's a Corvath's Fury. Corvath's Fury should finish it up. Oh man, with the Consecrated Sphinx earlier, that would have been ridiculous. They'll be a foe. We'll be a friend? We'll be a friend. Down they go. I'm choosing Kithron because this was his deck. This deck was kind of ridiculous. Oh, there's all the cool stuff. There's all the ramp we couldn't find. Brand. Yeah, this deck, pretty nasty. Yeah, this deck is performing really well. A lot of interaction. We drew all of the interaction. Didn't catch so much of the ramp. I think we saw 1 ramp spell. Would have preferred maybe another ramp spell in there somewhere just to get going a little bit quicker. But, you know, Xyris is just one of those commanders. If it stays in play, you're probably not that far away from winning the game. It's that new school breed of commander where it's just a little bit too strong. And if the commander's in and they untap with it, bad things are probably going to happen. So, you know, it was on our opponents right there to really try to keep Xyris out of play. And they failed to do that. And you lose the game when you do not kill your opponent's Xyris. So it's definitely a really strong commander. Watch out for it. This particular take on it, having a lot of counter spells, going to be good for combo type metas. And I'm guessing that's where he's playing it just because it does seem to be a little bit soft on like creature based removal. If it were my deck personally, I'd probably have a little bit more to deal with the creatures. I'm seeing a Whelming Wave. We've got an Aetherize, Evacuation. Okay, that's not terrible. It's got a little bit more than I thought. Curse of Swine. I do like my red board wipes, personally. I just like them. But they've kind of got those bases covered going the more blue route. So, yeah, lots of interaction. Decent amount of ramp, though we couldn't find it. Honestly, I'd probably spice up the lands a little bit more because we were clinging to life trying to find a forest pretty badly. Getting like more dual and tricolored lands in the deck, probably a good idea. But other than that, it played really, really well. Mana curve is very nice. Lots to do at 2, so you should almost always have a 2-mana play, although I guess sometimes it's going to be a counterspell. Plenty at 3, and then it tapers off nicely as it goes up the curve. So yeah, this deck just all about Xyris. Anything you can do to keep Xyris in play, hit your wheels, hit your Perforos, that sort of stuff, you are going to have a really good time. So yeah, I don't think I have too much more to say on it. The deck played really well, and seems like it's very strong. So hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, feel free to comment, like, or subscribe. Thank you for watching. I want to thank my awesome Patreon supporters. We have a bunch of new Patreon supporters in Brandon Glazebrook, Robert Stanley, and Tyler McAvina. You guys are awesome. If you want to help support the channel and vote on which decks I play next, feel free to check out my Patreon at the link below.